Well, today, protesters are demonstrating outside the Foreign Office. A group of MPs suggested that he should be arrested. Look, let's go live now to Conservative MP, former leader, Iain Duncan Smith, who is at that protest in Westminster. Iain, thank you very much. Rather a lot for us to go at today, my good man, actually. There is this, of course, this protest. Do you mind if just before we get stuck into that, I have a quick chat with you about your views about what's been going on in terms of some of these spy balloons, etc. Should we now be incredibly scared of China?
Well, I think we first of all have to start by recognising what China is. China is, as the Prime Minister originally said, a systemic threat to us and the way we live our lives, not just in the UK, but across the free world. They believe that their system of oppressive, dictatorial, communist government that brooks no dissent, arrests those who disagree. In this case, we see they follow genocide, they've organ harvesting, all the things you talked about earlier on. They've invaded the South China Seas. They are threatening to invade Taiwan. And here, the genocide that exists of the Uyghur, or as the United Nations has put it, a huge human rights violation taking place in there, a crime of all crimes. This is not a country that you easily do business with and turn a blind eye to. So the problem we've got across all of these spheres is that because the UK industry was encouraged to rush to China to do so much business, we've become very dependent, which means governments have become quite weak about their response to the Chinese threat.
The concern, I think, for a lot of people now is whether or not it's already gone too far. Have we already hit that tipping point? We were very soft, and some would say, not you personally, of course, but a lot of people, as you've alluded to, we're incredibly naive about our relationship with China and the way that maybe they viewed us. We were potentially a bit too nice. But the fact is we have been now for a very long time, and here we are. We've got protests about a genocide taking place, and those protests are behind you. We've got massive potential spying issues. I mean, huge national security threats and international security threats. I mean, you could see this coming a mile off here.
Well, we did, and I think the problem is to try and deal with countries as they are, not as you wish they would be. And the problem was, originally, we started down this road thinking that China would be changed by access to the free market. They would become somehow more likely to be a democracy. That is a very false concept, and it didn't happen. If anything, President Xi has tightened up dramatically. You know, he's getting rid of an ethnic group, or trying to get rid of an ethnic group, the Uyghur, from Xinjiang, because they disagree with him and they don't want to live their lives in accordance with the way he decrees that they should do. And there are all these other groups. So the point for the UK is we have to, of course, face up to China and say this is unacceptable. You cannot have all of the access to the market. You cannot disrupt all of that at the same time as abuse everything else. So we need to stand with the Americans on this. The Americans have sanctioned for the abuses in Xinjiang, the genocide that we believe is being committed there. They have sanctioned way more people than we have. And importantly, they've sanctioned two of the key architects of this oppression, a man called Chen Guangguo and this present governor, who was his deputy, is now the governor of Xinjiang. Now, the two of them are not sanctioned by the UK. I have never understood why, because they are directly responsible. We sanctioned about 4 much more junior people. And so the key thing is we need to make it clear to them. So this chap, the governor of Xinjiang, is coming in, so he plans to do, to the UK, and he has been told if he comes in, he will be allowed to visit with some Foreign Office official. Now, I don't want him here in the first place. We should have sanctioned him, which would have stopped him. But secondly, to allow him to meet with a Foreign Office official is a major coup, propaganda coup for the Chinese government, because it looks like we're legitimizing what they do, and we shouldn't be in that situation. The toughest message you can send is not a chat over a cup of tea. The toughest message you can send is to sanction those who are responsible for this abuse, people behind me whose families are incarcerated, who've lost touch with their children, whose mothers and whose sisters and wives are being forcibly sterilized in Xinjiang. We should have no approval at all by seeing a man like that.
No.
He should have been sanctioned. He should not be welcome here.